What's going on, guys? So in today's video, we're going to be fixing something on this Jeep that you've not seen on the channel before, which is a stretch, but let's go do it. All right, so before we get this video started, can we just take a minute and appreciate how amazing this thing looks? I know I'm kind of tooting my own horn here, but it deserves to be tooted. That didn't sound right. But man, I am having so much fun with this bike. A dirt bike on the street, how do you beat it? All right, so anyhow, here's what we're doing today. So on this Jeep that we've got over here, you can see it in the background there, we are doing a ton of work on this thing. This thing is getting everything from a clutch to the frame, and like those welds. Again, the old horn tooting. But we're also doing a ton of other stuff. You notice that there's no upper spring buckets, and we filmed that before, but we're going to be putting the new safety cap spring buckets in the top. But one thing I have not shown on this channel as of yet, and you guys haven't seen, is how to replace these lower spring buckets. Now you can clearly see that there's a bit of a void where there should be metal. And although we could run these and still probably be okay for a while, we're not going to take the chance because we're doing so much work on this Jeep already that we don't even want to chance anything. So I mean, you guys can see we've already done new control arms, upper and lower. On the rear, we're doing upper and lower. On the front, it's getting all new suspension, new brake lines, new exhaust, new fuel tank skid plate. It's getting new track bars. It's getting ball joints and brakes, tie rod ends, sway bar links, a new front track bar, new front springs. I think I said brake lines, but I'll say it again, all new brake lines because they're shot. It's literally every mechanical thing that you can imagine on this Jeep is getting replaced. So it doesn't make sense to leave these spring buckets just like that. So what we're going to be installing, and I will take you guys over here and show you if we can find the right side versus the left side, which I truthfully don't think it matters. No, it doesn't. They're ambidextrous. These are the ART 143s from Safety Cap, and we are going to be installing those in place of what's already there. So we're going to show you how to do that. Now, it's actually really quite simple. And if you guys have a plasma cutter, here's a little plug. Head to yeswelder.com. If you don't have a plasma cutter, they're $3.99. If you use code MorFab, you'll get 10% off of that. And for every order that you guys place, it helps out me, it helps out the channel. You guys save 10%, and Yes Welder, which I've been extremely impressed with thus far, obviously it benefits them because they're selling product, but their product thus far for $400 has been absolutely incredible. It's been flawless. We have been cutting Jeeps apart left and right, and things not missed a beat. So head over to yeswelder.com with the link below. Go pick you up something from them, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. So with a plasma cutter, this is going to be very, very easy. And I'll show you guys that. But basically, what we're going to do is we're going to cut right along this back edge right here, and then we're going to come here and cut right along this edge, and this whole thing will come right out. And then what we're going to do is take the plasma cutter and clean up the rest of the brackets off the actual axle. We'll hit it with a grinder. We'll put these guys in right here, and we literally weld right around here, and our spring buckets will be installed. So I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod. We're going to break out the plasma cutter, and we'll show you, basically how we get these things out of here. Alrighty, so we've got the plasma cutter fired up. And I'll try not to block the microphone, but you may want to watch your ears anyway because this gets a little bit loud. But we're going to go ahead and cut right along here, and then cut right along here, and we should be able to get this guy out of here. See, this thing cuts through it like butter. Unreal. Okay. Now, we're lucky to be able to get this out of here with some ease. There we go. Comes right out. Look at that. You see how bad it is too. It's actually really bad. The whole bottom of it's gone. So now we're going to go ahead and actually clean out these brackets off of the frame, or off of the axle rather. We're not working on the frame. And we're not concerned with the brake lines right now because we're replacing those also. We just want to get the majority of this stuff off of the axle. So here we go. All right, so here is where about we lost audio again. I don't know what the heck the deal is with the audio, but for some reason or another, I cannot get this crap right. Anyhow, we're going ahead and we're just cleaning off these brackets, and I kind of wanted to high speed everything for you just to get through this section of it. But the one thing you want to make sure of is that you don't go crazy, because you can very easily with the plasma cutter cut directly into the axle tube and cut a hole in it. Now, it doesn't really matter too much if you cut into the axle tube, because you can actually weld that back in and not have a problem with it. But you want to make sure that you're not, going crazy with it and digging too deep. And you can see on the left-hand side of your screen there that we did kind of cut a little bit into the tube, but nothing major. We'll throw some weld in there and we'll be good to go. So it's just one of those things where basically, you want to just be careful. Go easy. You can always grind it off if you don't take enough off, but you can't really add too much metal. If you cut the axle tube in half, you're gonna have a problem. But pretty simple deal. Cut those off of there, get everything ground, get everything cleaned up, and you should be good to go. And you can see there we cleaned everything up pretty nicely. Now we're just going in there with a little air file and making sure that everything is super clean, so that once we get our piece in there, we'll have some nice clean metal to weld to. Now with this, you're going to see that we start placing the, you're going to start to see we're placing the lower spring bucket in there, and we're using our phone as a little angle indicator. Now what we went ahead and did was measured off of the existing one on the passenger side to get the angle of that one. And once we've got the angle of that one, then we can just match it on this side. And then when we do the passenger side, we can then just rematch the angle on the driver's side to the passenger side, and everything will be golden, so that we're not, off angle-wise. But it's a pretty easy deal. So now that we've got the angle matched, we're going to go ahead and weld everything in, get it all nice and secure, and then after everything is all welded in, we can go ahead and shoot it with some paint. But we're going to start just basically by tacking this thing in and making sure that it's sturdy, making sure that our angle didn't change any, and starting to burn this sucker in. So let's get to the welding part of things. All right, wait, stop the video right there. We made a mistake. and we got to correct this mistake. So in the midst of all the phone calls and everything else, we placed these things improperly. Now you can see we ended up cutting this piece off and moving these over about 1 inch. The old ones used to sit on the side of this control arm mount. The new ones do not. They sit further in. So the footage that you're about to see of me welding all these is correct after we made this fix. It's identical. You're going to see these out of place, but we went ahead, snipped these off real quick and put them back in the spot where they're supposed to be. So no harm, no foul. We caught the mistake, and you know, only welded one of them on before I realized that I had done that. So what you're seeing as I'm welding this thing out, it is in the wrong spot. It is now currently in the right spot, which happens to be halfway in between both sides. So with that in mind, yes, we make mistakes, and we corrected it though. So just didn't want you guys being led astray when it comes to placing these things. The actual placement for these is halfway between. So you cut the old one off, here's where the old one was. And then also on this side, here's where the old one was. This will sit directly in between those two marks. And you can center up the spring perch with the upper spring perch and make sure everything is in line. And then you're good to go. So just take that into note. Alrighty, so now that we have gone ahead and cleaned up all of our wonderful mistakes there, and that's what happens unfortunately, and you'll see we're welding this one in the incorrect spot right now. So just heed that warning. You got to move these over about 1 inch, and luckily we caught it before we did both of them, and we're able to just do a quick cut. And you'll see we added a little bit of metal there to a spot that we hit with the plasma cutter that was a little excessive, but now that you guys know where they're supposed to go, it kind of does make a world of difference. And you know, you do have to put them there to get the springs aligned properly. But again, like I said, we made a little bit of a mistake and we corrected that mistake, so everything's good. Now we're just going to go ahead and weld in this upper spring bucket while we're here, and we're going to turn around and do the exact same thing on the other side. So hopefully we get this one right. But okay, so basically what I'm explaining here is just that once you get these things welded down and you get everything where it's supposed to be, you're going to want to set a spring in there just to make sure that all your alignments are right. And you have to remember too that your alignment is going to be a little bit funny just based on the fact that your axle is hanging with no springs, no shocks, no nothing, so the track bar is pulling it in one direction. So being that the track bar is pulling it over a little bit, it's going to show that it's slightly misaligned, which is normal. Once you get the thing set back on the ground, it'll be totally fine. Okay, so we've got the upper spring bucket in. We got it welded, and for those of you that are asking, the spring bucket is welded from the bottom as well as the top. And you can see there that we got the lower spring bucket in place, and of course it's in the wrong spot, which we ended up moving. And you know, everything is good now, so we have a good platform for these springs to lay on, and we won't have very many issues in the future. These are all painted up nice. Same thing, I use my Rust-Oleum self-etching primer, use the black paint, and get everything, you know, all painted up and solid. So now we're just going to take a walk over to the passenger side, and we'll show you what the old one looks like on the passenger side. Now the passenger side fortunately isn't as bad, but we're still going to cut it out. We're still going to get rid of that spring bucket and install the new one, and it's going to go exactly the same way as it was on the driver's side. And also to the upper spring bucket on the driver's side or passenger side is getting replaced, so we're going to go ahead and knock that out. And then of course the shocks are getting replaced, the springs are getting replaced, all the brake lines are getting replaced, everything is getting replaced on this Jeep. And hopefully at some point we can replace my ability to record audio. I don't know what happened on this go around. Same thing happened with doing the bike too. I'm going to have to take a look into what's going on to see, you know, if I can hopefully resolve some of these issues for you. But on this particular Jeep, we're doing a ton of work, and I have no clue literally what I'm talking about right here or what I'm trying to tell you guys. Probably telling you about having microphone issues and praying that this video was better. But luckily, we've got voiceover capabilities, and a very nice looking dirt bike. So we're going to film another video today, most likely, and we're going to make sure 100% that we actually have audio. So hopefully I won't have to do these voiceovers. But this project, guys, is not that difficult. If you've got a plasma cutter, even if you've got a grinder, a grinding wheel, whatever it may be, you can do this. You can actually do this in your backyard. You can do whatever. If you've got a welder, if you've got, you know, any sort of equipment to do any kind of welding, you can get this job done. It's not as difficult as it seems. But it is easy for me to do it because I do 100 of them. And even in doing 100 of them, you know, what have you. But you notice I'm showing plasma cutters here. That Yes Welder plasma cutter completely decimates the $1,500 ESOB. So like I was saying previously earlier in the video, go to Yes Welder's website, check them out. They got a ton of cool stuff. Hopefully very soon we'll get to test some of their welders, and we'll go from there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I truly apologize for the audio. I promise you it'll be better on the next one. And have a great night, everybody.